Wonderful, thank you. Anyone else who would like to introduce themselves?
I'm Giuliano Palazzi, founder and CEO of Palazzi Instruments. We make instruments and make reports for home.
Oh, interesting. So it's kind of like this aura stuff that we're wearing, and the whoop.
Like not very rigorous. It's like consumer demand. This is more scientific.
Okay. Oh.
Right, so a little bit of an idea of who, and I think some of them are team members, others are fellows from the Education City University. So I wanted to give the group the opportunity to get to know you. We're also taping, so we might do a little webinar. So Muna AbuSulayman has been a longtime friend, someone I greatly admire because of the way she represents Arab women globally. She's a voice of impact that has been incredibly received in every community that she's with. What I also love about her is her humility and willingness to help everyone and anyone. When she has great online presence, but if you refer any project to her that has impact, she's willing to support it and amplify that presence. I'll let Muna give you a little bit of a background on herself, and then we can do some Q&A. So would you like to? Can you hear?
Since I have the mic, do I need to? Or so I do need to. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe this is more for the taping. So Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I haven't been in Qatar in 10 years. So I just realized this yesterday. And I will say what an impressive country. I had the honor of attending Injaz Al-Arab's event yesterday, and to actually hear from the entrepreneurs and students who were learning, and just so proud of the work that is being done in Qatar on behalf of many of the Arab countries as well. So this is one. The second thing is, as Rama said, we've been longtime friends, and I think we've worked in the humanitarian field for a very long time. So some of you know me as somebody who was on TV for Kalam Nawa'im. I'm sure your parents know me. 17 years on TV, but I don't consider myself an alamiya. I worked for 11 years as a head of a foundation, Al-Walid bin Talal, and we did humanitarian relief. We did a lot of Islam West understanding, opening up centers in Harvard and Georgetown and Edinburgh and Cambridge to enable dialogue, but I don't consider myself a philanthropist. I've worked with the entrepreneurship ecosystem with Rama, with Transform VC, to help founders from our parts of the world and our communities to have a chance to become unicorns and decision makers, but I don't consider myself a venture capitalist. Everything I've done in my whole life is about one thing. How do I equalize opportunity for people who I represent, which is minorities in the West, Muslims in the Southern Hemisphere, and people who have ambition but don't have the network or the name or the bank accounts to make a difference, which is me. I'm somebody who built myself by myself, but I had the great privilege of growing up with an intellectual father who believed in the Ummah, who believed in our part of the world's ability to rise and be as effective in world politics, in governance, in entrepreneurship, in academia, and that is part of my DNA. So everything I do is about equalizing opportunity for people that look like me. And I think that's why me and Rama have been, throughout the 25 years that we've known each other, in different parts of our own world, different worlds intersect. But she comes with an engineering background, mashallah, tabarakallah, and she comes with this organizational and structural way. And I come from the social point of view, is how do I get the information that is needed for the people that need it at the time that they need it. And so that's why we work together a lot.
And just as a testament to that, I think one of the first conferences we spoke at together had an audience of over 500 people. It was in Bahrain. And I remember we got on stage and they had lights, action, camera. It was very much a show. And I really was very nervous because it was the first time I had to speak in Arabic on that platform. And I kept looking to Muna for assurance because she was so poised and calm and felt natural. And meanwhile, I'm the one who's in the ecosystem and engineering, but I was nervous. And I think that's a very powerful kind of testament to what friendships and mentorships do within this field. So thank you for that. I'd love for you to tell them maybe a little bit about what kind of role do you have with the younger generation of Saudi innovators, if you will?
Okay, so there's a couple of things that I do. So one of them is, of course, that with Transform VC, I was exposed to the Silicon Valley way of doing things because, mashallah, we've had so many different types of webinars and seminars and General Assembly and all these kind of things that expose me to things that I'm not familiar with. So that's one. And then we have the Saudi ecosystem, which is just exploding with talent right now, with ideas, with support, and trying to catch up to the rest of the world. I'm not sure if this is from you. My most important, I think, contribution is opening up my network to people who need it. So Rama talked in the beginning of how if anybody comes to me, if I think that they're not a bad person, because sometimes you also have to be a little bit, thank you, have to be a little bit, weary. I will open up all the doors that I have. So, for example, just 2 weeks ago, somebody came from the UK and actually exited entrepreneur. And a friend of us, both of us, sets us up, first time I see them, and they asked me for help. I looked at the project seems amazing, and now I have a little bit more understanding of what amazing really means because of Rama. Because before I get excited about anything. But now I understand, like, when somebody really has the right team behind it, the right co-founders, the right support system, has thought about the competition in a thoughtful way, has done the work, the prep work, which is something that I didn't understand before Transform VC. So he said, I want to meet these 10 VCs and these 10 people behind them, because I think I can convince them, and it's a transformational vaccine type of innovation that he's been working on. So I called up everybody I knew. He got all the meetings. Just today he was like, Muna, I was able to meet this person, this person, this person. And I said, yes, because I called them. I asked for that. And he said, why did you do it? I said, because you have an amazing project. They're looking for amazing projects. I know both people. So I open up my network. I cannot do certain things. I cannot fund. I cannot help a founder be a real mentor for a founder. I can help them with media. I can help them. So whatever I can, but within reason as well. Like, I do have 24 hours. I do have a life. So that's something that I've learned very recently, to also how much can I really do. So that's where I see my value, is my network. Other people, I think, see other things in me. They see that sometimes when I lend my name, it gives credibility to certain projects. So I do that as well, because I know if I'm backing something or if I'm retweeting something, it will reach more people. I have a huge reach on media. So whatever I can do, I try to do. That's my impact.
So you seamlessly...
Even remember when you wanted me to go on that trip to
hike Kilimanjaro, yeah.
I am the least fit person in the whole world. I do not like exercise.
But she was the first person who lent her name to the project and said, I'm happy to do that. So that was really good.
Maybe I can. It's important. We're going to raise money for refugees, right?
Exactly.
So I was willing to do that. And I was kind of happy that it didn't go through.
That we didn't go through with it, yeah. So give us a peek of your work with the entrepreneurship ecosystem and a pit. What's something that was a highlight and what's something that's an ongoing challenge that you see?
So if we're talking about the Saudi ecosystem, there are two things that I think are peaks. I think the amount of support that we were able to help the government provide by providing a lot of media attention to young founders, by bringing in a lot of attention to the gaps that we see. I think the Saudi government has really went full ahead with that. So there's a lot of enthusiasm. What I am seeing is that other than a couple of pockets, which is King Fahd University, which is an engineering university very well known in Saudi Arabia, and KAUST, I think the innovation in the areas that I would like to see innovation in are not as aggressive as, for example, consumer goods. So we're seeing a lot of things about logistics, we're seeing a lot of things about food deliveries or deliveries. We're seeing a lot of things about consumerism and products that are, and beautifully so, a lot of them are made in Saudi Arabia. So for example, like there's this brand of Coke because of BDS, it's called Milaf. And the second ingredient in it after water is actually dates, and it's an amazing product. There's consumerism. I would love for Saudi Arabia, I would love for Qatar to have the kind of research and development that would take us into the kind of ChatGPT leapfrogs so that we become the decision makers in those global ecosystems that are happening. I think there's a lot of opportunity for brilliant people, but the amount of research and development is significant, and I think we're not putting that amount of money. So that's the pit.
And thank you for bringing that up, because that's exactly what Qatar Foundation excels at, is that 30-year rigor in research across different domains that the founders in this ecosystem have the benefit of being close to and can take advantage of. I don't know if we are taking enough advantage of it, but I think that's a great opportunity. How do you see, if we position ourselves now to build the hub for impactful deep tech, so AI, robotics, material science, what is one thing that we can do that would really take us to a global map or make us be seen?
So there is one example. There's a lot of Silicon Valley wannabes, and I think one of the things that we always talk about, Rama, is that once recessions hit, all of them kind of shrink, except the real Silicon Valley. And so I think there's a lesson to be taken from that ecosystem where you're bringing in the best talent from all over the world. Everybody is willing to kill themselves and live sometimes like 10 people in one bedroom in Silicon Valley to be a developer on one of those either startups or the Googles. And so finding people with that kind of drive and passion is very important. But also I think the ecosystem of having an amazing university next to you, so as well as MIT and Stanford, that pipeline, I don't think we have it. I think we have, again, small pockets of brilliance in maybe one department. But as you said, it's a 30-year, it's an investment of the professors, the labs, the developers. I have not seen that. I'm very happy to hear that Qatar Foundation is actively trying to do this, because I think you guys can do it. Mm-hmm. And also in Saudi Arabia, we can do it, but it has to have buy-in from the whole, the different ministries coming together. So for example, the education ministry working very hard on attracting top talent, but also, the municipalities making sure that the area that they're living in is something that people want to come in and stay for generations, mm-hmm. not for 4 or 5 years.
So you travel a lot and you see founders all over the world, whether they are in the global south or they're in advanced or in economies. What is something that you see as a difference between, let's say, the Western world and the global south and the Middle East?
One of the differences in personality, I think the Americans have this hustle game, this 24-hour work ethics that I don't think I see anybody else. I don't know if it's healthy. So right now I'm at a time, as I said, where I'm trying to balance my life. But I really do see people who do work 24/7, 7 days a week, killing themselves in the US a lot more than anywhere else. So I just came from Bangalore, which is a tech hub as well in India. And they're doing amazing stuff. First of all, because India is such a huge market, so you can do a lot of stuff just in India. Whereas in Saudi Arabia and Qatar, we really have to think regionally and globally to be able to reach that kind of reach. So there's a little bit more international development aspect to it than in a place like India, or even Mexico, which has North America. But that hustle, that willingness to give it your all is, I think, is an American trait.
And what's something we have that they may not?
I think we do a lot more discussions of ethics. I think that's something that we really do care about. So sometimes we may not take risks. We may not do unethical things. I mean, we've heard about the stories in the Silicon Valley, unethical behavior by some of the leaders. I think those are the things that we have that are actually of real value in a world that is becoming dominated by AI, that you would have the DNA that has the ethics and the considerations of the human condition, and so that's something we have.
And what's one piece of advice you'd give a founder today?
So there's two pieces of advice. Take the money. A lot of times they come in, they're afraid of the equity, they're afraid of the ways things are. And yes, have a good lawyer, but take the money. It takes a lot more usually to get your product to be able to go global than you think. And it's a very difficult thing to get money. And so take the money, that's one. The other thing I think is team. Learning how to choose your team members, your co-founders, is part coincidence, part luck, but it's very important. A lot of great products actually die because the right team isn't there. Sometimes because of the decision-making process. So you get young founders, sometimes from an engineering background, who are, very process-oriented, and they want to make decisions almost unilaterally. And so although they have co-founders, they do not allow the co-founders to have equal say or equal considerations. I've seen that in several startups where there would be a discussion about a certain way of doing something, and then the founder would come in, and the original founder would come in and override everybody else, and that would lead to loss of trust, loss of credibility. It might be the right decision for the business, but it creates such an environment that eventually the business will die. So I think that's something that we don't work on. Identifying what is needed and what are the personality traits that you really can work with, and then being able to, I love what Jeff Bezos once said about how decision-making happens in Amazon, where they will have extremely rigorous debate about a certain decision, but once a decision is made, everybody gets on board. And I think that's something that we need.
Yeah, that's very valuable. So the last question is, before we get some audience questions, is name an inspiring book or person or movie that you love.
So the person I admire the most, I'm not going to be talking to say now Muhammad or my parents or things like that, is somebody called Anne Sullivan. If you've ever heard of Helen Keller, who is this amazing woman who was through some medical issue, I think she had a fever, lost her sight, lost her hearing, and lost the ability to speak as well because of that at a very young age. And she became almost like a hellion, somebody who was unmanageable. And they tried many teachers, and then they had this one teacher, her name is Anne Sullivan, who enabled this girl to start speaking, to start seeing that world, and actually lived with her for the rest of her life. She was the person who helped her. And Helen Keller, of course, is one of the role models for many people, somebody who overcame many challenges. She's a brilliant person, but her brilliance would not have been unlocked if she didn't have the right person to help her. So I've always admired Sulayman. And nobody's ever heard of her. So I talk about her a lot, actually. So that's somebody that I admire.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'd love to turn it to the audience if anyone has any questions for Muna.
I'm Leanne. I am part of the innovators team, and it's always nice to see you. My question is something you mentioned earlier about the Ummah. Of course, we all understand the importance of collaboration on a team level, but then also on a stakeholder level and an ecosystem. And I think there was never a time where collaboration on an Ummah level and actually coming together has been as important as today, you know, with the backdrop of the genocide in Gaza and everything that's going on. So how do you think that we as founders and startups can work towards that paradigm shift? How can we contribute?
So I think Qatar actually is in a very interesting position where a lot of people from around the Ummah, whether in the diaspora or our parts of the world, look up to it because of its leading work with Al Jazeera, et cetera, et cetera. And so it can be an important convening place. But for example, there's amazing work happening in Malaysia right now. There's a lot of stuff happening in Turkey. There's amazing, brilliant AI stuff going on in Tunisia. There should be a way of having those kind of networks and connections because of what we share and the ability to bring in these people and be able to access them as well. So whether it is fellowships, internships, whether it is actually conferences, there's huge talent and ecosystems that can be tapped in the ecosystem of entrepreneurship in the Ummah. So one of the things, for example, there's something called Gaza Talents. I don't know if you've heard of it or not. So Gaza Talents came after the Gaza genocide started. And basically, one of the coders there decided to help all these people who were losing their jobs to get jobs. And so amazing graphic designers, amazing coders, developers, people who are working on websites, everything that can be done remotely, they have a list of people that can be matched. We can do this Ummah-wise.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be just Gaza Talents, it could be Ummah Talents. And so people would be able to put in their expertise, they would be able to put in some of their portfolios, and people can mix and match and see what they need and just have that.
Thank you. That's very thoughtful. Yes?
Hi, my name is Christina. I work with the health tech startup here at PhD. And I want to go back to what you said about trying to balance. So I think nowadays what we're seeing is such a rapid tech shift with the introduction of AI, and it's just so hard for people to keep up, especially in different parts of the world. So what would you say to, for example, either young founders or team members trying to balance this tradition and the way things are traditionally done with so many rapidly changing global innovation technologies?
So because of AI, I'm an advisor to a friend who's working on employment, entry-level employment for a lot of college graduates from our region. And about 2 years ago, before ChatGPT, in one of the calls, she said, Muna, entry-level jobs are disappearing. We have to be able to shift because nobody's hiring. And so that was the beginning of the AI shift where people were implementing some parts of it. And of course, this has accelerated quite a lot. And so entrepreneurship is becoming the entry-level job for many people. This is the way to prove yourself so that afterwards, if your startup is successful, you have a career, but if it's not, then you can also move on to other companies, but you've had something. So this idea of the shift in AI, right? When you are actually a person who's young, right now, you're the generation that is understanding the future. So for example, I don't use ChatGPT that much. And when I use it for things that I don't really want to do, like write a speech. So I put my ideas and I write a speech and then I edit it because I don't really want to do that. But I don't retain the information afterwards. Whereas when I write my own speeches, when I put my heart into it, there is a process that happens in the mind that actually allows it to be something that I retain. So the audience may not know the difference, but something happened inside of me that I know the difference of what I have learned. Because as well, when you're writing a speech or writing anything, you're figuring out the gaps in your knowledge, and then you go research it and bring it back in and use that. So there's a process of learning that happens that is no longer happening. So I have a lot of fear that young founders, by their reliance on AI too much, are losing that internal learning mechanism that is so needed for other things. I think that's the balance for the knowledge gap. Life-work balance? I don't believe in life-work balance when you're 25. You have to be so passionate about something that you wake up in the morning and you're thinking about it and you're doing it, and this is the time that you have the energy level. And if you don't have that like fire in your belly, founding is the wrong place for you. When you're 35, you should have work-life balance.
I'd say 45.
I still don't have that in my 30s. Thank you for the insightful points across the board. Really enjoyed it. I have a question more related to coming from different ecosystems. So I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Enable. This is my second startup, and as a Qatari-born company, we're proud that we are serving 6 markets and expanding more. But one of the things that, starting a bit late, the ecosystem is improving, and in QSTP, we're seeing a lot of this kind of ecosystem building, because we were in DIC before, which is MCIT, and for the most part, we're the only active startup.
What does that mean? What does that mean? We're the only active
startup means let's say there's 30 incubator startups, but only 2 of them show up every day. And there's the shift of this part-time, which is normal because some people have a job and so on. But the reason I mentioned this up because when I went to the garage, that was amazing. And speaking of the work-life balance, in Silicon Valley, this hustle culture is also part of the community. Everybody's doing it, and it feels better when, unhealthy, sometimes I work on the weekends to catch up, so I'm here on a Saturday and I only see 1 or 2 people sometime. So it makes it feel lonely in a sense. So how can we bring that to Qatar? Is it just a numbers game? Because Saudi has much bigger population, much bigger pool to have kind of more entrepreneurs in general?
So there is a reason that the Crown Prince decided to expand the number of people who are living in Riyadh from about, I think we were 6 million to 15 million. Because the more people you have, the larger talent pool that you have, the more people that you're able to find your tribe and community, and so there's more choices, right? So that's one of the reasons. So Riyadh is an extremely exciting place to be in right now. But also, I think one of the things that I love about founders is that they're able to change any challenge that they have into a positivity. So for example, first of all, being a founder is a very lonely job. It's 24/7, you're thinking about it, there's a lot of risk, there's a lot of emotional attachment. People will become your friend once you're successful and you're written up in all these magazines and all that. But before that, like everybody doesn't know what you do and they're like kind of afraid to be too close because then they're associated with somebody who doesn't seem to have a job, right? So there's a lot of loneliness in that, in many places in the world. That's part of the thing. But for example, if you're one of 2 startups that are very active, then it's very likely that you will shine quite quickly, that you will be able to get a lot of opportunities because you're there at that moment when some opportunity comes in than other people. So there is an advantage also to being a big fish in a small pond.
And with that, I would also say you have to take a historical perspective. When I got into Media City in Dubai, they were renting the space for weddings. It was like so empty at the time. No one was in Dubai. And now look at how many startups are coming out of Dubai. Same thing with Saudi and Garage. It came in later. and it.
That's actually how good your legal researchers are. Because each advantage in each country comes with legal ramifications, right? So for example, if you have your headquarters in Riyadh, you get certain tax exemptions, you get certain opportunities. But if you have just a regional office, you might be able to get certain types of funding. You know, if you have your headquarters in Doha instead, you might be able to get a lot more funding, but less, marketable. So you have a very good legal research team, or chat GPT perhaps, and figure out where is even Bahrain, by the way, has some amazing perks. The thing I think about, one of the ways we don't look at it is that there's a Gulf cooperation on many, many levels that people never tap into it. So if you look at the legal stuff, you'll be able to figure out, as a Saudi, as a Doha-based entrepreneur, as a Bahraini, there's things you can get. So for example, I think in Bahrain right now, people are discovering that they're being treated like Saudis. So if you hire Bahrainis, they count as Saudis. Yeah, so there's all this, but nobody knows these things. You have to do your research. Nobody has a manual for this.
So thank you so much. I think we're on time. We really appreciate everybody who came. Yeah, of course, and that's
So I just want to say one thing. Nobody asked me about this. I'm a failed entrepreneur. My first entrepreneurial venture is something that I really believed in. I gave it my all, and I lost all my savings. And the reason is because I never learned to play with somebody else's money. Take the money.
Yeah, it's a very powerful statement, and it is actually prevalent in Silicon Valley. You'll find a lot of millionaires who will not start their business with their own money. They're always pooling in money. They come in with the idea, they come in with the traction initially, and they'll get money from the network.
Yeah, and learn storytelling. Really learn how to figure out the person in front of you, what is it they're looking for, and how do you say it in a compelling way. Because a lot of times, especially with engineers, they go so much in the details that they lose the momentum. They're not able to capture the attention of the person in front of them, and they lose the opportunity. Within the first 5 minutes, the person has switched off. So the storytelling, the presentation is so important.
That's very, very strong advice. Thank you so much for your time. I know this was impromptu, and we're really happy to have you. And thank you everyone who turned up.